Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where today we have our final Premier League tactical preview of the season, this time Manchester United against Fulham. Now the footage you're about to see was all from a live stream which we had on the channel yesterday, so these are basically the best bits of how Manchester United can beat Fulham. So what we're going to do, as we literally always do on the channel, is we're going to start with how United should be able to build a ball out from the back. And I'll be honest, I think United have the real potential to play out from the back in this game, simply because Fulham aren't great at pressing. They're around mid-table in the league, which makes them look like they've done really well. But expected points, expected goals for and against, kind of suggests that underlying numbers that they're maybe not as good as what we think they are. And I think United have the potential to play the ball out from the back, particularly if United are able to move the ball one way, kind of draw Fulham onto them and then go the other way a bit. And this is something that we spoke about last time United played them in the FA Cup. We done a preview back then, and Fulham still have the same problems. The problem is this: what they will do is they'll kind of force you one side like this. Let's say Victor Lindelof has the ball, Mitrovic is going to come over. Now what this means is that Lindelof goes across to Malacia. Wilson will then lock on. In midfield they lock on, they go man for man, like this. And so far that's a good pressing system. We'll also see Tete on Rashford. That's a good pressing system. It doesn't look like Tyrell Malacia has got too many options. The problem comes when the far side winger doesn't connect to the press. Now the top teams use a connected winger press, it's what they do. Fulham don't tend to do that. And rather than perhaps squeezing up onto the other centre back, or even the other winger, the other fullback, sorry, William will often drop deeper on this side. What this means is that particularly against a team like United, where Lindelof loves to step forward into this position, creating this space is very much on for United to then go across to the other centre-back. The problem that this creates for Fulham now is that Maguire is the spare man. And particularly if we are going for Maguire in the starting 11, which chat have decided we will do for this game, Maguire's really good at stepping forward with the ball. So if Maguire's going to step into these positions from here, Lindelof of course drops back in, the Fulham midfield now have a problem, because they're currently man for man with the Manchester United midfield. They have to decide whether they want to jump out and press Maguire or leave him to have the ball. If you leave him to have the ball, there's no telling how far Maguire could progress because he is a good ball carrier. But the other problem at the same time is if you kind of jump out towards him, try and go press him, Maguire then pops it off to the spare man now. And then United have the advantage and the potential to really move forward, because now there may be 3 versus 2 in midfield, the ball goes into Fred, maybe someone like Fernandes, and United quickly turn a situation where they're kind of being half pressed into a situation where they're in behind the Fulham midfield and straight at the back line. So that is a concern for Fulham, certainly. Their press isn't really up to scratch. United, I think, have real potential to play through it. Now, if that is happening during the opening stages of the game, United need to take advantage of it. Recently, again, we've been speaking about it in chat, United haven't been clinical enough at all recently. United need to be clinical during the opening stages, because Marco Silva isn't daft. If things kind of aren't working and the press isn't working, he will eventually drop off. So United need to kind of take advantage of this numerical overload whilst they have the chance. So we'll just have to wait and see if that happens, wait and see if the players perform. But if they don't, Fulham will drop into what essentially becomes a sort of a 4-4-1-1 like this. So the question is, how do United kind of take charge and dominate from here? Before we continue with the analysis, I want to talk to you guys about JerseyFIFA.com, the home of all of the greatest football kits. Whether that's the latest home shirts, the latest away shirts, tracksuits, or even retro kits, Jersey FIFA has a bit of everything. There really is something for everyone, so if you are interested, then make sure to use the link in the description down below and head to JerseyFIFA.com. So yeah, the key for me in this game is overloading the midfield. So even once Fulham have dropped back into their midfield 3 shape, kind of a 4-4-1-1 or a 4-5-1, there's still the potential for United to outnumber that. So to outnumber it, let's do some quick maths. Fulham have 3 midfielders, so to overload that, you need 4 midfielders yourself. The way to do that is to form a box in midfield. And the best way to form a box is to move a fullback into this area, because we've now got Tyrell Malacia, Casemiro, Fernandes and Fred in midfield, up against Reed, Kearney and Palhinha. Now for that to work, Dalot therefore needs to play deeper, like this, and we've now got ourselves a lovely little 3-2-4-1 scenario. Now, again, this is a shape which I talk about all the time. It's a shape which City use a kind of variation of, as do Arsenal. United have done it in spells, and there's a few reasons. The first reason is you have a 3 versus 1 on the first line up against Mitrovic. So, for Mitrovic to apply pressure to the ball, he is gonna have to really bloody work hard. Realistically, he's not going to get close to the ball. This creates potential for the likes of Dalot and Lindelof to step forward quite easily and generate easy ball progression. But more so the key is that we've got this 4 versus 3 midfield. Now there is a chance against a team like Fulham they will bring their wingers really narrow to try and kind of nullify that and negate that threat. What you have from here though is the wide centre back stepping, getting the ball wide to someone like Marcus Rashford and Garnacho later in the game. They're going to take on the fullback, and from Fulham's point of view, that's quite worrying because you've allowed United to progress the ball really easily. Same on the other side, Dalot could step, feed the ball to Sancho. Sancho in particular is really good at carrying the ball forward as he steps up the pitch, and I don't think Fulham will want that to happen because it makes ball progression far too easy. So I do think the wingers will be a little bit wider, but this is where they create another problem for themselves, and this is why this United system could be so good. Because of that 4 versus 3 midfield, you either have a situation where your double pivot in Tyrell Malacia and Casemiro, a 2 versus 1 in the 10 for the opposition, or the other way around is that they change shape, try and press you a bit higher, move the midfield further forward, but then you have your 2 higher 8s, in this situation Fernandes and Fred, either side of Polinia in the pockets. By outnumbering them 4 versus 3, you're just opening up channels where you can pass all over the pitch, and this is exactly why United should go for this shape. If they're doing that and playing well and connecting their passes, which, to be fair, isn't always the case, they don't always connect their passes in this team, but if it is the case, United should be able to move forward during this game quite easily. Of course, this won't be constant. Fulham are a good team, they're good at quite compact defending at times, but there will be spells where this shape will work and get through the team quite easily. And ultimately, that is what you're going for from a tactical point of view. You can't often completely destroy a team for 90 minutes. You're trying to play to give your team the chance to have moments. And when you create moments in football, then it comes down to the attackers. So let's look at the attackers. Let's say Manchester United's box midfield. This 4 is progressing the ball well. Can United hurt this Fulham backline? I'll tell you now, the answer is yes. If you quickly look at the thumbnail for this video, you'll be able to see exactly why. It's because Fulham defend in a back 4, and they don't tend to drop anyone deep. Sometimes teams will drop a winger into a back 5 from either side of the pitch, or a midfielder drop in. They don't tend to do that. And this is where it's problematic for Fulham, because they can be overloaded in the first phase with the back 3, then overloaded in the middle phase with the box 4 for United, but then also on the last line. If Marcus Rashford's going to push forward, which he obviously will, Fred's going to push forward, Fernandes is going to push forward, and also Jadon Sancho. We now have a 5 versus 4 situation. And against a team like Fulham, this is even more important than what it is against other teams. And the reason for this is because Fulham really defend heavily on the ball side. Some teams prefer to kind of step off and they're keeping an eye on their back post constantly and they're defending the area a bit more. Fulham tend to gravitate over towards the ball. So if, for example, Rashford's got the ball here, the right back for Fulham will come over, as will the centre back, as will the other centre back, and the other full back. And what this does is it means that there is always a winger available on the opposite side. And again, if you go back to the thumbnail for this video, you can see that kind of highlighted really well. So I think in terms of in the attacking phase in the final third, United should overwhelm this Fulham defence, especially if they can quickly pass horizontally, maybe even backwards at times, to kind of draw Fulham over one side like this, then go backwards, quickly go across to the other side, and then get your winger going at his man. I think from these areas, patience is important, and that is something which something like Sancho will bring to the team, but that is going to be important for the team. From these positions, you don't have to cross it first time every time. Kind of work the ball down this side. Let's have a look. Does it work? The Fulham players come across and defend. Let's say the passing option isn't there for Sancho. There's no one obvious to aim for in the box. Don't just chuck it in the box and hope for the best. Instead, come backwards, work the ball across, then go out the other side. You're just constantly dragging Fulham side to side, and it is a problem with their defence. This isn't just, a generic thing which all teams struggle with. This Fulham team in particular, if we get Silva up on the screen, this Fulham team in particular really struggle with their back 4 being overloaded. So it's certainly something which I think United could exploit. And if that is the case, then I think Ten Hag could well end the season with a final 3 points and a 3rd place spot in the Premier League, which to me would be success. In terms of, do I think this will happen? Will the players perform? We just got to wait and see. Players like Fred might bring a fresh energy to the team, but also maybe a bit of rust at times. Martial, we need to see better from him. This might be one of his last ever starts for the club, depending on what happens in the summer. Jadon Sancho needs to carry on that form from the Chelsea game, and Rashford needs to get up to speed before the game against City. If United can do that though, I think United will win this game. I think it should be quite comfortable. Fulham don't really have much to play for. However, the one thing I will say is on the last day of the season, where both teams have kind of achieved what they wanted to. Fulham have achieved mid-table, United have achieved top 4. We do see some weird results on the last day of the season, so just keep an eye out for that. There is a chance that we get something really weird here. It could be like a 4-3, or Fulham could win this game. But actually, structurally, from a tactical point of view, United should be able to win. Apart from that, though, that's pretty much all I have to say on this Manchester United versus Fulham game. So yeah, basically, let me know what you think in the chat below on this game.